Hey guys, stoked to be back on the podcast. I took yesterday off. I'm out here doing a bike tour, leading a bike tour in the Italian Dolomites, and it has been obviously super hard and really hard to get internet. So you can see with my Wi-Fi here, if you're watching YouTube, it's really bad. And hopefully, as I improve this, I'll come up with better ways to get a Starlink or something like that and a better camera. But this is what we got for now. We're going to talk Tour de France. Going to focus on stage 4, stage 3. Not really that interesting. A bunch of like the key talking points were a lot of crashes, super dangerous racing, KOM from Tim Wellens, switch it up from Tade, and sprint finish, not surprising. We got Tim Merlier taking the victory. Cool to see him go up against Milan. So that's exciting. That's awesome. Two best sprinters, but it was pretty standard stage, and there's not a whole lot to talk about. But stage 4, there is a lot to talk about. So we're gonna dive in, get into it. What I saw, what is worth talking about, and So first thing, pretty difficult stage if you're a Tour de France racer, because the first part was really boring and easy, calm, and then the last part was really chaotic, crazy, small roads, aggressive racing, lots of turns, very classic-esque. And so if you're in this type of a race, it's really difficult to be a GC rider, because you're later in the race and you get to this whatever stage 4. You just, and when I say later in the race, like you've done days of racing, so you kind of been locked into like really stressful racing, and then it switched to more relaxed racing yesterday with a very stressful finish with a lot of crashes. And so lots of cortisol, lots of stress. The body is already starting to fatigue a little bit in the central nervous system. And so when you have a relaxed start or easier race in the beginning of the race, like we saw, it's hard to get your body to get out of that and back in that aggressive racing in the second half. And we saw, if you watched, Visma and UAE sat back. They didn't fight for position even a whole lot. Well, other teams were spending a lot of time fighting for position. And seeing that, you knew those two teams were going to be very aggressive in the end. The reason for that was the course was super dangerous, really selective, lots of turns, lots of fast downhills into hard right and left hand corners, short explosive climbs followed by twisty and other types of technical riding, lots of traffic islands, and lots of big road or bigger road to smaller road kind of pinch points. And so because of this, the two teams waited. Collectively, it seemed like, and once they got inside that last part of the race, they went full gas. Started off with UAE. They really hit it super hard, blew the race apart, blew the peloton apart, made the pace extremely hard. And then you saw Visma with Victor Campernatz. He jumped. I mean, he was amazing. They jumped the UAE team, and they then took over the pacemaking, and they waited. UAE was really focused on the climbs and making the climbs hard. Visma, it seemed like they had other plans to try to catch people out on the downhill. Said they aggressively attacked, came over the top of UAE, put a lot of pressure on the peloton on the downhill through all the corners. Watching it over here in Italy, I was on edge. I thought every corner looked like they were going to crash. Very stressful, very chaotic. But the idea with Visma, I think, was go super offense through the most dangerous stuff. Protect yourself first and foremost. You could see Jonas was riding second wheel. And in the process with that, they are potentially catching some GC riders out. Probably not going to catch Pogacar out, but they might catch some other ones. And they did. A lot of people lost time. So it worked. Visma super aggressive. And then we saw in the very end, last climb, UAE back on the front. Big lead out for Tade. Tade throws his big attack. We saw this. hits super hard, and Jonas follows. Gets almost to the top of the climb. Jonas falls off right before the top, but then Tade kind of runs out of steam. Jonas reconnects over the top. The two are together. Jonas doesn't work. Tade doesn't pull. Back of the race catches back up, or the second group, I think it was like 6 GC riders and Vanderpool catch back up. A lot of funny business. Almeida back in the game. He does a phenomenal pull, leads it out. Tadej wins the stage. Sounds simple, right? So it's not. And I'm going to talk about what I saw. I just laid out the two different tactics, or the two exact same tactics of both teams. The tactics of the two different teams is what I was trying to say. But I thought there was a lot of telling things with the GC riders. First off, Tade, he attacks. Jonas follows. He attacks in a place where there's not too many people in this world that could even be within eyesight of Tade when he crests a short climb like today, when he goes all out. And so why? How could Jonas, the same rider that was dropped every attack Tade made in the Dauphiné, how could Jonas keep up? And the question is, everyone has, is he better? Is there hope? Has he leveled up? Is he better than Tade? How is this happening? And to be honest with you, just like he says, to be honest, to be clear, I don't think he was better. I think that Tade made a mistake. And the mistake that Tade made is he went too hard in the attack. A little bit easier of a run-in for him, not super hard pace before his attack. I believe he kind of jumped Almeida. Almeida was revving it up right before the steep part of the climb, and it seemed like Tade went. It almost looked like he started kind of easier, and then he wailed on it, full gas. Now, I think that, and he did it standing, right? We've been seeing a lot of seated attacks from him, a lot of longer seated attacks. And here's this big haymaker, standing, high cadence acceleration up this climb, 600 watts, 700 watts, whatever it was. A lot of watts. I think I saw Onley's file. He did 540 or something like this for 2 minutes. But the part that they really hit was all well over 600. So I'm assuming, yeah, Tade, or both Tade and Jonas, were well in the 700 to 800 range, at least for that minute acceleration. And I think Tade went too deep. And when you go too deep, especially rider like Tade, who's been training threshold, training time trial, training climbing, training this ability to do this attack into threshold, he hasn't been focusing on this short, explosive, Philippe Gilbert-esque type acceleration. He's been really focused on the ones that will win the mountain stages, or like we've seen in Flanders, and we saw in the Dauphiné, even these longer high-powered attacks that then go into a low threshold or threshold that set him up to drop people on a climb, but then go into the flat or the rest of the climb. And so this ended up being shorter of a climb. And so he went deeper. And in the process of that, I think miscalculated, went a little too deep in the first part, and then came up short. Didn't get to the top. And because of that, he had flooded, full of lactate, low on oxygen, two are related, and he had to slow down. He had to get below his threshold. He had to recover. And unfortunately, we've all experienced this in our racing and our group rides. When someone attacks too soon on the climb, they don't make it over the top. It's like blood in the water. They're stuck on the climb, and the person that's right behind them, they know all they have to do is get to their wheel before the top of the climb, and they're in the draft, and the person can't drop them. And so Tade went too hard, had to slow down. But right before he had to slow down, Jonas sat up. He slowed down. He was over his limit. He rode quite smart, I think. And you could even see like the first part of his setup was like, oh goodness, I'm going to have to sit up. Let me look behind me and see how close the other ones are. Maybe I can get someone to help work with me over the top of this climb. But to his surprise, they were so far ahead. There was no one there. And that's when he reset mentally and he said, okay, I need to keep going to the top. And that was right at the moment that Tade kind of, I would say, locked up, couldn't keep it going. And he was able to inch a little bit closer. That's all the mojo that you need at that point. Deep breath, send it, Hail Mary. Jonas put the last little bit of effort that he had, connected on the wheel, and boom, he made the selection. Now, is this a big deal or is this not a big deal? Well, I do think in the Tour de France, it's a big deal, because anytime you're shooting shots, you're drawing the sword, you're risking a counterattack, you're risking it backfiring, you're risking blowing up, you're risking loss of mojo, momentum, feeling like a failure. And so, yeah, we all know Tade is primarily immune to these things, but still, when you throw this big haymaker, and especially because he's been so conservative this first part of the tour, it did seem like he was going to go for the juggler, go for the kill, and it didn't work out. And that's probably accurate. He probably thought that he was going to drop Jonas in this moment, and it didn't work out. And this is what I love about Tade. He's not perfect. He tries, he does stuff. It doesn't work out, but he always learns. And so in this case, yeah, it's been a long time since he's done this type of an attack. And I think, again, he got too excited, went too hard too soon. Now, how could we have done this better? Or how could Tade have done this better? Easy to say from the couch over here, this nice Italian, whatever this is. But I think that he could have done a easier first part of the attack, got separation on everybody but Jonas, got halfway to the top of that climb, and then full Tade, absolute rage against the machine, heavy metal, insanity, Tade attack all the way to the rest of that and over the top. And I guarantee you, I say guarantee, but strong here from the couch, but I think it would have worked, right? That would have worked. And he would have got the gap. He would have dropped Jonas right at the very top, would have gone over the top. And then, yeah, he would have had to solo away. Pretty far still to solo. So it would have been difficult, but if anyone could do it, he could do it. Is that worth it before the time trial? I don't know. But definitely, I think that this won't hurt him. I think he'll learn from it. And I also think it adds to the narrative that's going around and happens every single year. We had this last year in Bologna, the Giro d'Emilia climb, where he attacked, Jonas followed him, he couldn't get rid of him. Jonas apparently had only ridden his bike for 1 week or whatever they were saying, and it was like, oh goodness, he's going to get better every single day of the tour, and he's already day 1 or day 2 or whatever. No, it was day 1, wasn't it? Day 2 or something like that. One or two. He was already on the wheel. So I'm not, there's no alarm bells for me going off. I don't think there's anything different here. I just think, yeah, he made a small mistake. He's got to change that. He's got to update those, the way he attacks and address them. Now on the flip side, Jonas, he stayed with him and he hit hard. And so you can't ignore the fact that Jonas has got better explosive power. He looks really good. He looks super strong. He looks aggressive. He looks aggro. He looks good. Like he's a contender. This is what everyone wants to see. We're excited. We got a contender here. Good stuff. This is exciting. Awesome. We got a contender. So I think that's all good. I think it's good for the race. I think it's good. It's good for the fans. It's good for everyone. Jonas is a contender. Now, let's be clear that him keeping up with Tadej's attack, and he didn't even make it the whole attack, but him keeping up with most of Tadej's attack and catching up at the end, that does not put him on equal ground as Tadej in the strength department. We might get to the high mountains like everyone says every year, and he might win the time trial tomorrow. It very well could be. I actually honestly would not be surprised if he wins the time trial tomorrow. But I don't think that he is as strong as Tade, and I don't think keeping up with one attack showcases something like that. Okay? We've all been on group rides where we've thrown attacks and riders 80% of our ability are able to keep up. And a lot of times it's you got draft, you've got you're mentally focused on the wheel. You have a clear strategy of what you have to do. When you're the attackee, when you're being attacked, in your mind, the only thing that you're thinking about is I've got to hold on. That's it. If you're the attacker, you are how hard do I attack? How long do I attack? Where do I attack? What do I do if the person's still there? Like there's a lot of thoughts processing. There's a lot of decision making. There's a lot of skill, technique, that matching zones and stuff like that with terrain and trying to figure these things out. There's a lot more going on than if you are the attackee. You are just hanging on for your life, and just your only challenge in that moment is to hang on. And Jonas did not hang on the whole time. He let go. So Tadej's going to see that. Just like Jonas saw himself catch up, Tadej saw, yeah, hey, you made it 45 seconds out of the minute or whatever it is, and I got your number, dude. So whatever it is, keeping up with an attack is not the same as throwing the attack or getting separation in the attack. And it's not the same. So if it was the flip side and it was Jonas throwing the attack on this climb, we can all use our imaginations, and based on what we've seen, he probably would not have gone anywhere at all. Tadej probably would have covered it seated, and then he probably would have beat him in the sprint at the finish line if Jonas had got a gap or not. So let's go back to racing and what we understand and all this other stuff when we're trying to interpret how should the race go. I don't think today showcased anything unexpected or hard to understand. But I do I do think mojo wise, race narrative wise, momentum wise, it's like last year. Jonas is good. He can keep up with him. It's going to be a battle, probably. So I think it's cool. I thought he did a great job. Now let's fast forward to what happened after that. Jonas didn't work with Tadej. Again, like, is that a good decision or not? Like, probably would have been a better decision to work with Tadej, because Tadej waiting for Matthew Van Der Poel and everyone resulted in Jonas with a third place. So he lost some time bonus seconds there. And had he worked with him, maybe he would have got second. Not working is Tadej going to pull Jonas away, and is Jonas going to throw an attack in the end? No, like Tadej's going to wait for the group. And so Jonas had Matteo behind. So maybe also that was the team strategy, was like, hey, if he's, don't work with him, cover him, wait for Matteo, and Matteo then tries a counterattack. When Matteo did come and gave a counterattack, Tadej was straight on it, no problem. We can already sort of foreshadow or see Visma's strategy that they're probably going to try to isolate Tadej. I thought it was crazy too that Almeida was not in the picture at this point, but then came back. So big mountains, Almeida's not going to have a problem with positioning, and he's going to be sort of the antidote to the Jorgensen potion or whatever it is, poison. So I don't know. Maybe Jonas could have worked, but regardless, it didn't change anything in the end too much. Then in the finish, I would like to go over that real quick. Super cool move by Tadej. What he ended up doing was he positioned himself on Van Der Poel. We know they're friends. They talk. I think they communicate during the race about what they're going to do and stuff like that. So I thought it was interesting that as they approach the climb, the final uphill sprint, Almeida's on the front. I thought it was interesting that Van Der Poel dropped behind Jonas, and Tadej went behind Van Der Poel. So he had already queued up the lead out. I think, again, Van der Poel is not so concerned with Pogacar. He's willing to go toe-to-toe, play the game, whatever. The best man wins. Very classy. Van der Poel could have tried to put Tade in front of him, and that probably would have been an easier win for Van der Poel, a possible win for Van der Poel in this case, a harder win for Tade, especially since Tade had a teammate that was doing the lead out. So, logically, Van der Poel probably should have gone on the wheel of Tade, forced him to go in front, and then come from behind in the sprint. But I felt like they had some sort of communication or some kind of discussion or agreement or understanding or friendship or whatever it is that, hey, I know you're there. I'm gonna do my own business. Let the best man win. This is what I think. So going into the last part of the sprint, Van der Poel comes from behind. Jonas quickly gets on Tadej's wheel last minute. Very intelligent from Jonas. And what Tadej does in the last corner is really what got him the win. He let a little gap go going into the corner behind Van der Poel. And then he started his sprint before Van der Poel coming through the corner. And so he basically was sprinting before Van der Poel with this gap. And so he was getting his speed higher than Van der Poel's current speed that he was starting his sprint. So let's say they're starting the sprint at 30 kilometers an hour uphill. After the corner with 200 meters to go or whatever the exact distance was, Van der Poel, say he's going 30 kilometers an hour. Tadej, because he left the gap, is now using that draft. He's getting a run at him. He is about to hit the same point that Van der Poel is going to start his sprint with 3 or 4 kilometers an hour faster speed and momentum, and he's coming from the draft. Riders like Van der Poel that are more explosive and more powerful than Pogacar, usually it's in the first part of their kick and the first part of their sprint that they put the other competitor in danger. Their first part of their snap is so strong that they either get a gap right away or they absolutely pin the rider that is behind them because that first part is so sharp and they don't have any energy to come around. So Tadej was super smart setting that up. And so he didn't have to eat the first part of Van der Poel's jump and acceleration. And not only that, he had more speed, more momentum, and he was coming in with the draft. So what ends up happening is he slingshots essentially Van der Poel through the effort. Van der Poel also, it appeared, kind of knew this was happening and sort of gave up a little bit mid-sprint. And so as soon as he felt his legs weren't there, he could see Tadej in the corner of his eye. He sat up, and that ensured that even Tadej had a better shot of winning. And Tadej, for example, had more than a bike length at the finish line over Van der Poel, and he had just enough over Jonas. Again, I don't think the closeness between Jonas and Van der Poel is an accurate representation of how good Jonas's sprint is. I think it's more Jonas was on Tadej's wheel. He got sucked along the same way that Tadej got sucked up the climb towards the sprint, just off of Van der Poel. So same thing, and he just did just like Tadej, kind of came out of the draft, came around. Doesn't have the same sprint as Tadej, but was able to almost overtake Van der Poel at the line. So pretty cool tactics there. I got to say again, Jonas, for someone that doesn't race a whole lot, I don't see him in sprints. I don't see him in classics races. I've read on X quite a bit. People are like, let's see this dude in the classics. He has a tremendous explosive ability, race reading ability, and classics type riding and racing skill craft or racecraft skill ability here at the Tour de France. So pretty cool performance from him. No doubt that he is going to be a factor in this race. And I think he's a favorite to win the time trial tomorrow. And I'm pulling that completely out of my ass. I have no rhyme or reason. I think logically that Tadej has a shot at winning the time trial tomorrow. In my heart, I believe Tade can win the time trial tomorrow. I know Remco's the favorite, shoe-in, definitely the guy to win the time trial. But there's a piece of my heart that's like, man, based on everything we've seen this year, based on what we know, based on how things have looked in this race, Tade should have a chance at winning the time trial tomorrow. But Jonas, like, he's so unpredictable. I would have never in a million years predicted that he could have done what he did today. It all checks out. I look at it. Yeah, he did it. He could have done it. It makes sense for sure. But you don't think that this is going to happen. And I just think it's kind of the same thing for the time trial tomorrow. It's like, well, you don't think he's going to beat Remco in the time trial. We all think, or not me, but everyone thinks that he could beat Tade in the time trial because he beat him in the Dauphiné. So really, he's just got to beat Remco. So is it possible? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jonas wins the time trial tomorrow. Does that mean he's going to win the Tour de France? No. But he's been aggressive all week. He obviously feels good. He's going for the first part of this race for time, for the jersey, to get mojo, to get momentum, to get the whole world on his side. It seems like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if a winning time trial performance is possible for him tomorrow. But I'm hoping Tade. I think would love to see him do that. And then, of course, Remco is the most likely favorite. So before we end this thing, and I'm going to go to bed, you can see I'm tired. I rode some crazy mountains today. Rode super hard. It was raining. It was cold. I feel like I'm in the Giro again. But a couple more points I wanted to make. First one, Almeida. Wow. Super good. Really strong guy. Really strong performance. Came from behind. Doesn't like positioning. Catches back up. Gets on the front. Leads Tade out. Tade attacks. Almeida makes a second group right behind with Remco and everyone. Catch back up. Almeida gets on the front. Pulls. Chases Matteo down. Chases all kind of people. Then ends up leading out the sprint. Leads the sprint out beautifully. Tade wins the stage. He swings off. He doesn't even keep sprinting after he leads the sprint out. So it's not like he's getting results because he's holding back. He set up. He was blown, but he dropped everyone, including Remco, with his lead out. So when he rolled back, he was sixth place and he got the same time as the winner. So, man, Almeida, massive weapon. I'm looking forward to seeing him ride super, super well and doing some great work for Tade in the mountains. I think between the two of them, we should see some major records fall on those climbs, some massive mountain performances. The opposite of what most people think a domestique is for. A lot of people is like, well, that domestique, that mountains rider is going to save this rider's ass in the mountains. But in this case, no. This guy is going to set the mountain on fire. So Almeida looks amazing, super strong. Also very similar style to Tade. A lot of in the saddle stuff, great technique with the heels up, good core strength, explosive, can do long climbs. So I think they're going to be quite a duo in this year's tour, and I'm looking forward to seeing all that. Matteo looks great too. It's cool to see him aggressive in the end and performing super well, finishing up there. He lost time in the sprint, but that's normal. Or at least I think he lost time. Actually, let me just confirm that. Oh goodness. I'm pretty sure he didn't look. I'm pretty sure he lost time. So whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not going to look. I can't find my results real quick. But doesn't matter. He's still close on GC. I think he's just a few seconds out, or 20 seconds or something like this, or a little bit more behind Tade, who's now at the same time as Van der Poel. And if you're wondering why Tade is not on the jersey, it is because count back. So Van der Poel has more, even though they're on the same time and they have the same amount of wins in the Tour de France. And then they've got equal second places. Comes down to countbacks, and so in the sprint stage, Van der Poel was higher up than Tade. So 2 sprint stages was higher up than Tade, and so therefore, boom, he gets to keep the yellow jersey due to the count back placement. So I thought that was interesting. Roglic lost time. He lost the time on the climb. Part of it was due to positioning. Part of it was due to the legs. I honestly, like, I don't know what to think. It's kind of disappointing. Again, I say it's like off brand with Red Bull. I'd love to see better performances from those guys, better team performance, better Roglic performance. So maybe it's coming. I don't know, but to just dish out seconds on a stage like this, that normally Roglic would be super good. I think it would be would be good for Red Bull. So who knows? We'll see what ends up happening with the race, and if he levels it up and gets to a new place. Remco, he doesn't seem injured from his crash. He seemed good. He was up there, made the splits, had to come back, but definitely kind of taking over that like third to fourth place best rider. You can't ignore Almeida. He probably is the third best rider, truthfully, in this Tour de France. And possibly we got Jorgensen number 4 or something like this. So Remco and Roglic, I don't even know if they're guaranteed that podium spot, but would like to see Remco win the time trial, as he should, and defend, ride really well in the mountains. But we'll see. He looks good, not perfect, but good. So yeah, that's it. Stage 4, a little bit of 3. We'll keep trying to do a good job with these podcasts and stay on top of it. Honestly, it is not easy for me. So I'm going to keep doing my best, and hopefully I can get a little bit more professional and can get some help. And I really appreciate all your guys' support, the feedback, the encouragement. I love the people nudging me yesterday. Hey, where's the podcast, dude? Where is it? And I'm like, well, I didn't think anyone even wanted to listen to it because it's just me talking to my computer in some Italian hotel room with like crappy screen quality, and that's it. But I appreciate you guys listening and sharing your feedback. And yeah, I'll look into, and my wife and I will, when I get back to the US, we'll try to up our game a little bit for the last half of the Tour de France, and then hopefully moving on, doing a lot more. So thank you guys. Send me questions on X. That's the easiest place for me to respond and write them down. And if anything you want me to cover in these podcasts, I will do that as well. So at Tom Danielson is my handle there. And I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to post this. And then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to do my training, ride with my group over here. We got like 30 riders, which is awesome. Maybe even more than that. I think it's like 34 riders out here in Italy, in the Dolomites, all Cinch clients, coach them. And so it's really fun. This is something we do. We bring our coaching clients to the best stuff. So we next year we'll do the Tour de France. This year we're doing kind of the Giro. Last year we did Spanish stuff in Girona. And so we bring their fitness, bring them to the most epic places, and then we showcase what they do with their training and their fitness and how it would be done in the Tour de France or Giro d'Italia or World Tour. So it's a lot of fun. If you are interested in coaching or you are interested in camps or anything like that, check us out, cinchcycling.cc. Send me a message on there, or you can direct message me on Twitter or Instagram. Check out our Instagram handle at cinchcycling. Would love to help you out with your training and help create some cool cycling experiences for you. So anyway, thank you guys. Had to do the shameless plug at the end. And looking forward to stage 5, where we will see what happens in this time trial. And I know in this podcast, I literally said I want all 3 riders or to win that could win. But that is true. I feel like everyone deserves the win of those 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's either one of those. But obviously I am pulling for Tade because I think he is the best rider, and I like to see the best rider win, even though it doesn't always mean it's the most suspenseful. I like to see the person that has worked the hardest, that has innovated the most, who has spent the most time, who's invested the most. I like to see them get what they deserve. So I think he's put in the work. I think he deserves it. He's done all the crazy races that we've seen this year. He entertains us day after day, no matter what. So I'm looking for the win. I hope for him tomorrow. I know that'd be an upset over Remco, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys. Awesome stage 4 on to stage 5. Good night. Later.